I think for me the experience between high school and college is very self-directed, and given that I'm a working man, I work 5, 6 days out of the week. I have to learn how to manage my time both at work, before work, after work, and literally slot in my classes around it. And it's this ardent necessity that we have to basically push through and recognize that time management is one of the key things. That was admittedly one of my fears when I first started at CCP, was that I would, just fall flat on my face because it would overwhelm me. And, it did overwhelm me, but I learned to kind of push through that. I learned to overcome the fear. I learned to recognize precisely what days would work for my classes and what days wouldn't. And I've learned that getting up slightly earlier to do things before you go to work is actually helpful, and taking a day or two specifically for classes is actually incredibly helpful. That way you can have just those days to focus solely on your classes. What we've also recognized is that, there's always going to be fear. There's always going to be a sense of needing to advance yourself, whether at work or life or otherwise. That's part of why you're going back to school or going to school, trying to finish school. You could also be trying to improve your family life, because there's a lot of students who they're the first ones to go to college. In my case, I made a promise to my father that I would end up going back to college and finishing. And he finished college. It really helped his career as an international businessman, and that's really the core of what he gave to me. That is kind of passing down something of a legacy. But to be quite honest, I've been a working man for a large chunk of my life, and I feel like I've always had one foot in the world of, I love education. I love being cultured. I love learning new things. But it's also this sense of, some days you gotta get up, work here, 9 to 5, 3 to 11, 7 to 3, 11 to 7, however it works. And my most successful educational experience, I think, honestly, has just been balancing work and school. That's really the key success that I've had so far. And obviously, the pandemic's literally, flipped the whole table over. But it definitely has pushed us to recognize that certain elements of school are absolutely necessary and others aren't. And, it's this semblance of, because I went to private school as a child. And then I went to charter school for middle school. And then I went to a public high school in New York City. All of this was in New York City, mind. And then, came to Philadelphia, went into CCP, and kind of making my way through there. I'm almost done with my associates, and looking forward to seeing what's next and seeing really how it's going to go. And I think having a good attitude is this, is one of the keys there. It's this sense of, needing to really push through, needing to really find what you want as much as you want. And I say that because you are going to eventually change your major at some point, whether here or whether in your bachelor granting institution. But the reality is, you have to really recognize to a degree, what do you want to do? What career do you want to have? What sort of job do you want? And, ideally the best way to do it is you would work a few different jobs and figure it out. But given we have limited time and resources, I would say try to strike a balance. Work a job that you can work around school, and then take the specific classes that interest you. Now, this is not to say take any and every class that interests you, but take the things that you're like, it looks interesting, I'd like to take it, and I would have a reasonable grasp on it. Don't say you love math and then try to take, high-level calculus. That's not going to work. Something more along the lines of, I've wanted to take anthropology for years, never had the chance to, let me try it. Something along those lines. And I think you have to kind of balance that, and again, that's really the key. It's all about balance, it's all about channeling what you want out of life, and then kind of pushing through, and then adjusting as necessary. You have your framework, that's really what it goes down to, and then you adjust as life / the universe / school / work throws things at you. So it's really the key there. So that's what I would suggest. I would suggest overcome that fear, and you overcome that by pushing through. Find a balance of work and school and home life, and find a balance between the classes you really need to take for your major and the kind of major you really would enjoy versus the classes you're like, I'll give that a shot. Take that as you will. I'll be around.